buddy. Welcome back. Didn't get to the 10 o'clock start time, but we're earlier than 12:30, so that's good. It is at least the weekend, so I get to sleep in a little bit longer. See if there are any new developments stat-wise. I've been watching Cadrill's coverage of basically every region, whatever he has on every night. And there's a lot of interesting, like, just weird picks and counter picks and all kinds of stuff going on. So we'll see if any of that bleeds over into solo queue here. Supports, I mean, Rel is still good. I kind of want to see if I can make a run for Diamond on this account, though. I might try a Rel game on the other account. I probably can't make it, but I'm at least Emerald 3 on this one. I think the other one I'm Platinum 3 or something. Platinum 3, Platinum 2. It's either Jin or Senna. I guess I'll ban Jin. Both of them are annoying. Both of them are, like, most picked in their role. I guess blind, we'll just do Rakan. That's the thing, it feels like very often as a support, people ask me to trade with them. The top picks. And Rakan is just, like, a pretty good blind pick. Like, you could probably play Rel blind, too, into many things, but I think Rakan is one of the better blindable picks. I think the shifts in the itemization off of Warmogs is actually good for Rakan too. Although people weren't playing that many tanks in solo queue, there were some. But I think Rakan leverages especially Abyssal Mask really well because he has high AP damage, like burst AP for a support when you max W, which is what you always max. And he doesn't need as much survivability because he has the mobility to move around. And he just doesn't benefit that much from Warmogs in general, right? Like, he doesn't have any health scaling. He doesn't get a lot of extra resistances. So he was one of the worst Warmogs users of the engaged champs. It was still really good on him because it was an OP item. But can we get, like, an AP over here? God, Kha'Zix, man. Why are people playing Kha'Zix? I had one yesterday. It just feels freaking worthless, man. Like, he can snowball, but like, I don't get it. Nobody in pros playing him. He does have a high win rate for a jungler, though. For a high-pick jungler. He's one of the better ones. Amumu's, like, the highest right now. But he and Lilia look like they're... somebody's winning on him. I mean, there are a lot of ADCs and squishy champs being picked. Like, in theory, it should be good, but... they gonna get another AP here? Probably not. I'm just looking to see if it's a good mass game or not. It's okay. I mean, Kai'Sa does do a decent chunk of magic damage, too. Katarina obviously does a lot of magic. Leona does a decent amount of magic with her passive procs. I think it could be a good mass game. But yeah, I think, like, champs like Leona would really rather have Warmogs more so than Rakan. Like, she can get Abyssal Mask, and she's probably still okay with it because her passive does do a pretty good chunk of magic damage. But I think a lot of people just aren't on that tech yet. Because it kind of went a little bit under the radar. That Abyssal Mask, like, turbo buff. It's like, it's 30% shred now. I know, John. I just always try to squeeze in more and more stuff. On the weekends, I can at least stay up and play a couple games. But during the week, I really do need to start getting on at like 9. But it's just hard to get everything done. Trying to work out, eat, you know, play with the kids, get the kids ready for bed, school planning. And a lot of times I like to get a nap after I eat dinner and work out the first time. Depending on how much sleep I've had, I like getting like a little 1 or 2 hour nap in there. Then often I'll get up, get something else to eat, work out again, and then try to stream.
I'm getting impatient.
I don't know if she saw me or not. She's not gonna let me get in that bush, I don't think.
They will see me. They will see my dance.
That's annoying. Well, it's gonna be hard to get push on him. Jinx just... I don't know. Kaisa, if she actually uses her arrows... I think, yeah, we're just gonna have to let it push in.
I do not wish to kill the mortals. I want them to hear the music.
I really need to be level 3 before we try to go for a trade. It is a very volatile lane, yeah. Damn it, I've not hit a Q yet, which is really annoying. Jinx into, or, Leona into Jinx Chompers is really annoying. I don't know why she used both sums. Flash would have been fine. Bro, god damn. Am I gonna hit a Q all game? I can't ward the bush because she'll instantly clear it, because that's what Leona does. God, she's like right on the edge. If I go on her though, when Leona's like that close, I'm probably gonna get punked. Ah! Finally, Jesus. Okay, so I have to go Mercs. Against Leona, for sure. This guy's just playing it pretty well so far, though. I mean, other lanes are winning, so we don't have to do anything, like, heroic here. God, he just happened to be there. Is he doing drag or something? I can't check. God. No fucking way. Somebody dies, right? God. Okay. I should have ignited. I don't know if it would have made a difference on the spot. Okay, they're getting a lot of kills here. Nice. Alright, so... feels bad, but it got cleaned up. Mikhail's game? Yeah, maybe. Kaisa does have cleanse. But, yeah. I'm not good enough to Mikhail's myself, though. I shouldn't be getting hit by things. That's crazy. Like, I see some supports, like Mikhail's themselves on an Ash Arrow. You have like a 0.25 seconds to do that correctly. But I've seen some Koreans do it. Now, they are playing on like 0 ping, but... it's a little dangerous. I maybe should have done that a little bit deeper. It still seeds the whole river, though. If this will let it... if I did it, like, right in the middle, it wouldn't see as much that way.
It's all filthy and dangerous. And that's why I love it.
Now, I was going to try to hold it a little bit longer, but... when were Jinx's flashes? Can they please just put it on the scoreboard? Like, I'm old, man. I don't want to be typing all that out and trying to remember all that. There's just no way. He was like 3 seconds. He was going to be 3 seconds too late.
Time to show it.
Damn, if I would have hit that Q. I maybe could have done it with just a double shield, but I tried to get cute with the Q. Might as well put one there. I'm about to back probably soon. Backing. We need to push so we can get it back, bro. What the fuck?
Okay, Rakan. Get him watching. Burn him up.
You don't want to buy? It's too fucking late. Dude, this guy is straight clowning. Now it's not even go. What is this guy? What? No, back. You lost your back timing. Like, you either freeze it if for some reason you think you don't have an item and just denying them a wave is going to be more beneficial than backing and spending your gold. I don't think it is, but that's your choice. I was trying to push it. You said no. And then after we lost our window, then all of a sudden you want to push it. When it was just going to freeze outside their tower, like... I mean, fortunately, we're up a ton, but that... Yeah, exactly. It's just 1,700 gold.
I feel good.
No, you don't freeze it right there. They're getting it back. They're getting to buy, like, 1,500 gold worth of stuff. What are you going to deny? Like... I mean, you would already be denying. If you just hard pushed, you'd probably deny a few minions anyways. All she did was deny, like, maybe 3 more minions at the cost of not getting it back. I should have body blocked that for her, but I'm just, like, so tilted that she didn't back before anyways. Okay, she's dead there, right? I could have played that better, but... It wasn't a freeze. Like, it was gonna push into our tower. Like, if she was trying to freeze it outside of our tower, she was not hitting it so much that it was overstacking. It had a cannon on it. And, like, plus 3 or 4 minions. It was 100% going to push into our tower. She was trying to deny 1 additional wave, I guess, and then try to push it out. But it doesn't work that way. You didn't have time for that. As soon as they pushed in and backed, especially because I had 3 charges on my thing, we should have just instantly pushed it back into them. Like, it wasn't going to stay frozen outside of our tower. That's usually, I mean, you can try to do that, but that's typically not a good thing to do anyways, because they're going to have first step on you, and then whenever they get back, like, they're going to be more easily able to push it into your tower faster, and then get a roam or something. Did I get the XP on that because I was in the area? I think I do. I mean, I could go back and look at it on replay, but I'm pretty sure it was bad.
This looks like another dangerous situation.
It felt bad. Okay. Well, she used her ult to try to stop me from ulting the Jinx, I guess, but I don't think we had kill threat on Jinx. Her ult's really short cooldown anyway, so it doesn't matter that much, but...
I knew it.
Alright. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get the whole thing. I think, yeah, we can. cat's coming, cat's coming. No, what are you doing? Just like wasting flash. I can't.
They think they can catch.
Okay. I couldn't face check that. Yeah, I think freezes are really overdone, especially in duo lanes. There is a time and a place. If you're able to pressure and zone them off of it,
I don't want to war.
especially early on, like if you can get it here, and either like the jungler's gonna come and you denied vision, or you're able to stand in front of it and like pressure them off of hitting stuff, yes, that's obviously very good. But, you know, I think in general, especially if you're gonna back, is to try to put it in their tower. So that you're sure it's gonna bounce. And like John's saying too, you got to be careful with those freezes too, or like where you're putting the wave, because they might dive you, or if you don't already have it up and they get to push it in a lot faster than usual, they could get early steps to go get a dragon, or go roam on mid, or go like invade your jungler. I mean, tempo is definitely a very real thing that a lot of people, it's like an invisible resource just about. And I'm, you know, that's one of the hardest ones that I don't even, you know, it's probably the hardest one for me to, like, optimize, too.
Humans think that to believe in something you believe is serious. That's their problem.
Okay, nice.
They will see my dance. Then they will know
Your team has destroyed a turret.
I guess I'll just back here. I mean, maybe I have to go back and look. I mean, yes, it, like, she's trying to deny waves, which sort of makes sense if they're staying in the lane and if you want to try to just freeze it. But, like, we know they're backing. Maybe she thought they were trying to beta back and we're just going to sit in the brush for an extra 30 seconds. I guess, if you think that's what they're going to do. But the way they were positioned, and especially because she had just tried to back right before that, like, it could have been an elaborate bait, but it had been a while since they'd backed anyways. So to me, it seemed pretty obvious that they were trying to get it back in there. And they'd been pressuring every wave too. Like, they hadn't been doing that fake back type of thing. They'd been like pressuring the tower every chance they got too. So to me, it was just screaming back, and unless you have a ward in the bush or something, or you have a really good read that they're trying to bait you in the bush, I think you just match their back right there. Yeah, exactly. Like, freezing before a push is very questionable. It's like 90% of the time you want to push. Unless, like, for some reason there's just no way you can, like, push it all the way into their tower. You at least, like, try to get it neutral. I could have done that a lot better, probably, but I don't know. Jinx is just, like, hanging out at the tower, too. What else can we get? We need to get Baron soon.
I need some fun. Now.
Killing spree.
Zari's going off.
I think Zaya told me to improvise. At least that's the only part of the plan I remember.
Light on my feet.
Kha'Zix is pressuring bottom.
You're mine.
The prediction!
Your team has destroyed an inhibitor.
I'm gonna take all they can.
Dominating.
Oh god. Okay, we got him.
Your team has destroyed an inhibitor. Your team has destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed an inhibitor.
Alright, well this Kha'Zix is doing very well. I mean, pretty much everyone on our team was. Like, obviously the Kai'Sa, that one back situation was sus, but, like, everything else is pretty good. I think we need to back up. We're about to give a bunch of gold over.
Quick as a fox.
Can they just back, please? I know killing them is fun, but, like, they can come back. I've seen it happen so many times. Like, there's really no, like, advantage. I mean, yeah, you're killing them. You get gold, but the risk is so high. Like, if they just kill you once, it's equal to, like, 3 kills if they kill Kai'Sa right now.
I'm gonna live forever. If you look at things the right way, it's awesome.
I don't think they've really given up. I mean, maybe some of them are like inting, but it's like just end the game as fast as you can. Just go get Baron, and then like just walk it up. Just like staying over there, just goofing around with them in their base is not going to accomplish anything. Just go get Baron. They can't contest it, and then walk in. Yeah, they're doing pretty well. They're kind of, now they're like screwing around a little bit. I mean, they'll probably get away with it, but, oh, there they go. And here comes the either my bad or F you guys.
It don't take a lot of words to tell the truth.
I don't know. I just don't understand the temptation to fuck around. Like, I've just lost... It's like, have these people never lost a game like that before? I mean, I've lost games where people just sit around and, like, stall the game out, and then 2 people on our team DC because there's, like, a thunderstorm and they live in the same dorm or some shit. Like, just random stuff can happen. It's not likely, but I've seen it. I mean, yeah, they have Leona, Pantheon. I mean, they've got CC, Jinx Chompers. And we're pretty squishy if they get a hold of us. But yeah. Okay, so we're still able to win. Ari did have some good roams. Yeah, we had some rain. I wouldn't classify it as a storm where I live earlier. But how did I have like the lowest KP? Just about. Urgot had slightly lower. I guess some of those times on that dive, and there's another play bottom where we killed like 3 people, or I died before I touched people, I guess. I wonder if House of Dragon, I haven't really... I haven't watched Season 2. Season 1 was okay. I never quite finished it. I just didn't really like any of the characters. I don't know. I didn't find myself really rooting for anybody that much. It seemed like there were some just random characters. I had to keep trying to remember, okay, who is this? Why am I supposed to care about this person or not? And there were like 3 minor spoilers here. I think there were like 2 or 3 pregnancy deaths that they just like heavily emphasized. And it's like the first one, I get it, it's cool, like, yes, lots of women died. But it was like they were just trying to make this point, like, you know, they're like juxtaposing like men fighting on the battlefield and then women, you know, fighting in the bedroom for these pregnancies and stuff like that. And it's like, it was one of those things where just kind of like, it's true, but it also just felt a little like I'm trying to make a point here. And it just was really distracting. So it's like, obviously I'm on board with a lot of, you know, rights and representation, all these kind of things, but I think that there's a point, especially in, you know, media, especially in something that's like supposed to be fantasy, you know, set back in this kind of medieval fantasy kingdom where it's like, it just feels distracting if that's like too much of the message. Like if that's like, if it's like one of those girl boss, girl power, you know, modern movies or something like that, or if that's supposed to be the big theme, it's like, okay. But like, I don't know, like, it's hard to describe. I'd have to really sit down and think about it, and I might need a better sort of like vocabulary in terms of the cinema and stuff like that to really describe it. But I think you can have strong women characters, obviously, without it feeling like too like unearned or like messagey or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like in the Game of Thrones, like Dany, sometimes she went a little over the top in terms of girl power, but I think especially in the earlier seasons, like 1 through 3, like it was very believable. Cersei, you know, believable with a lot of it. I mean, Tyrion was a dwarf, right? And he's a dwarf in real life. But he did not feel like a diversity pick, you know what I'm saying? He didn't feel DEI or whatever. It's like, yes, that wasn't George R.R. Martin's book, but at the same time, even if it wasn't like in the book, he just felt like a real organic character. Like, he didn't feel like that was his entire identity. It was a part of it, for sure. But it felt like real and it felt earned. Like, he felt like he belonged in that world, you know what I mean? So I think you can have, like, you know, DEI stuff. I know. I saw an ad for House of Dragon, and then I was just kind of going on about how the first season was okay, but they had like 2 or 3 of these kind of pregnancy deaths, and it felt like they were going really far out of their way to like juxtapose it with men fighting on the battlefield and women fighting in, you know, the bedroom and stuff like that. And I'm like, maybe one of those in a certain way would be kind of cool, but it felt like they were just really trying to like, you know, send this like message, you know what I mean? And that's where I was saying that's like, of course I like, you know, diversity stuff, but I don't like when it detracts from the story. When it's like breaking my immersion and I feel like, you know, I'm being lectured or something. You know what I mean? And then I compared it to the original Game of Thrones, and I said, you know, they had strong women characters. They had Cersei. They had, you know, Dany. And they, for the most part, felt like good, organic, like it wasn't a message. They were just part of that world, and they were rich, complex characters. Partially good, partially bad at times, right? They're just like any other character. And they had Tyrion, right, that I mentioned, where it was like, you know, he's a dwarf, but it didn't feel like it was a DEI thing. You know what I mean? Like, yes, he was actually in the book that way. But even if he wasn't, it's like he felt organic and a part of the world. Like it was something that he struggled and worked with, but it didn't feel like they were trying to, you know, just elevate the status of acting, you know, dwarfs in acting or dwarfs in society or something like that. It's like, this is a guy, he's a dwarf, he's in this world, he's dealing with it, he's got an awesome story. Like, it's good. And I think that's how a lot of viewers are. Not everybody, obviously, but I feel like diversity's great, but it has to feel like it's earned and sort of organic, not just because. I don't know. If it just feels like it's too immersion breaking, especially in an era, you know, like that. If it's just, I don't know. I was gonna say, if it's like set in the 21st century and it's a modern film and it's like talking about, you know, these people's lives and they're dealing with this different DI or identity politics or whatever, it's like, of course, yes, that makes sense in that context. But I just feel like sometimes it's just a substitute for storytelling. It's just like an almost kind of sermonizing kind of thing. Okay, I don't know what happened there, but I'm gonna... Again, even though I'm like on board with the message, it's just like the way that it gets presented and done is... What the fuck is going on? Does it look black on the screen for you guys? Yes. It's black on my screen too, in case you're wondering. In task. In task. Well, I don't know. That might be a little I mean, on that note, it is a curious fashion choice, but I don't know. However people want to live their life, if they're not bothering other people,
It has to be done.
I think that's fine. I mean, different circumstances, but, you know, in high school, I was trying to look basically homeless. I, like, had this huge beard, and I'd walk around with this, like, cheap red leather coat, and I was just trying to be, like, like edgy, like, hey, I'm like an artist, I'm a writer.
30 seconds.
You know, like, I don't give a shit what you think about my appearance or whatever. So, I don't know. People just do that. People just like to be different. People like to be edgy about stuff. People like to go for different looks, different vibes. And I think it does keep it kind of fresh and interesting. But, yeah, some things it's just like, I don't know if that's the right look. But, you know, I'm not the target audience for everybody either. So that's fine. That's something I've come to realize in my life is it's like, yeah, I don't get it. You know, some of these things, music choices people make or different things they wear or whatever. I'm like, I don't get the return of the bullets and mustaches, but, you know, so many of my kids do that in my classes. Like, all right. I mean, I guess it's okay. I mean, it's not really my aesthetic. A lot of people probably don't get why I have my haircut. They're like, why are you trying to look like someone from the 60s or 70s or more recently, you know, Justin Bieber. Of course, that was even like 15 years ago now. I think people forget Justin Bieber even used to have a haircut kind of like the Beatles. I think whenever anyone thinks Bieber, they're probably thinking his current, like, I don't know, what you, just like standard, you know, look or whatever, like model look. I don't even think he had that quote unquote Bieber hair for that long.
If you don't want to do this,
No, I want to.
you're only here for
Freedom fighting is a good one.
Boy bands had it. I guess so, yeah, it was kind of popular back then, that's true. I thought it was more of like the longer hair, but parted down the middle. My wife hates that. When my hair gets longer and it's like too in my face and won't swoop over, then I'll like part it in the middle.
the accent.
She hates it.
Trying something new.
And to be honest, it does look a little dated, but if she tries to jump in, I'm looking for the W to knock her up. I can do it, but the timing is crisp.
I'm the left.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I don't
The road?
get, but it's like
Good.
if people just want to do it. I'll be honest with you, it does enter my mind a little bit because I am in higher ed.
Scars are sexy.
Okay. I'll get more.
That if I wanted to try to get in to try to go for an MFA or something,
I'm distracted.
okay,
See a problem.
like, I'm just thinking, if I wanted to try to go back and get an MFA, which is not going to happen this year, it could be something I could do in the future, just so I could qualify to get a, to be a full-time lecturer. It doesn't mean I would get it, but just so I would even qualify for it, first of all, if I put in all this effort, am I even going to be able to get into the MFA program? Because I did look, and I hate that I even, like, have to look or think about this, right? But they take 4 per year, and of the 8 that were in the program, there were 2 white guys.
Get.
Well, I'll try not to die.
And everyone else is women or, you know, non-white guys, right? And it's like, I mean, that's fine, but is it because they were just all better writers? Or is it, like, am I at a disadvantage applying to this? And then also, like, is that going to hurt me when I'm trying to be hired as a lecturer? Like, a full-time lecturer. They do hire some. But, just one of those things where it sucks I even have to, like, think about that. Because obviously I like diversity, but it's,
I need you to be more careful.
you know, could definitely affect me, employment-wise. I mean, my life is fine, sort of, without it.
Black is
But
a terrible color on me.
definitely, you know, goes into my calculus. Is it worth it to even try for this if I don't think I'm gonna get like a fair shot at it? Fair in the short term, right? Whether it's because that's the whole argument around a lot of this. It's just like institutionally unfair for centuries, or like all these other forces working against, and it's like yeah, but like in this instance right here, right now, for me, for my decision making, is it worth it to even try? So I probably could do it, but they did hire, I think, of the new MFAs, I think 2 of the 4 were white dudes.
If you need me.
So I think it may have just been the other people were just the best writers.
An ally has been slain.
Certainly people from like different countries or different backgrounds, especially if you're doing something like, you know, creative writing or poetry, like you're looking for innovative, cutting edge stories and different kinds of stories and things like that would be exciting. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense to have different cultures, because there's going to be different stories and different experiences. So it's like, especially with things like creative writing, I get it, but I just remember, like, I listened earlier, I was listening to like best dance songs from the 90s or whatever, and Michael Jackson's like Black or White song. Oh my god, did we not get him? And it was just like, doesn't matter if you're black or white and all that stuff like that. And I'm like, man. And I was like, I get why it's, you know, part of the theory is you can't do that because that, you know, because it does matter and you're discounting the differences if you don't, like, account for differences and all this. Like, it's very complicated, I get it, but it's just kind of an unfortunate state of affairs sometimes. But it's always just like, how much do you play on the differences versus trying to unify? You know, it's classic, like, MLK versus Malcolm X, right? And for a long time, people had been more on the MLK side. Now people are more on the kind of the Malcolm X end of the spectrum.
I swear, he will be the death of me.
I'm fine with that.
Me too.
And maybe that's a really oversimplified version of it. I'm sure it is, but you know, MLK was always trying to find common ground and bring people together and emphasize positivity and overcoming adversity and all that stuff. And like, Malcolm X was much more on the like, no, we need to like triple down on differences. And I think they both had a lot of merit. But I mean, maybe I'm sure it's naive or whatever, but it's like, especially when I was younger, like pre-2014 or something, I just didn't even really think about that when I was interacting. I was like, okay, you know, this person's black, or this person's Mexican, or this person's Asian, or whatever. Like, I was just looking at them like a person. Okay, that's a person. But now, you know, it feels like it's really highlighting it. And I mean, maybe a lot of stuff, like subtle stuff, was sort of swept under the rug. Obviously, in the 90s and before. There were problems, but coming from the black dude who bleached his skin, Michael Jackson. Yeah, I mean, that's the least of the problems with Michael Jackson, I think. The cosmetic, right? It's a lot more the kind of pedophilia is problematic, but to say, obviously, understatement. I don't remember, and I don't know if the jury was ever really, like, people ever really figured that out. Okay, we're just going all in on this freaking support. We just need a kill, man. Jesus, we just can't kill either one of them. They're so mobile with that E. I don't know if I won't be able to get in. I can try. Well, no. I don't know. No. I don't need it. I don't know where they are. I mean, but that's sort of the argument, too, is it's like, problems don't get resolved or addressed unless they're brought to light, right? So it's like, is it creating the problem or is it bringing to light a problem that already existed, you know? And it's like a chicken and an egg thing to some extent. I do think that it is going a little far on the pendulum, and I think a lot of people are a little far on one end of the pendulum. I think a lot of people are seeing that now. You're seeing like more companies kind of moderating some stances on DEI. You're seeing media companies, stuff like that, Disney kind of dialing back a little bit. I think people are just getting a little fatigued. And it kind of ruins the message and stuff when so many people are kind of getting turned off too, when it starts to get too extreme one way or another. Nobody died there. They just got Dragon, but Mord's getting a lot of stuff done top, which is nice. Oh god, he's going? I think they saw me. I can't believe he walks out of that. He is very far ahead of Zyra, I guess so. Yeah, that was one of his famous things. I think I've actually shown that in one of my classes, that clip. I think he may have walked that back, that stance. But I kind of do lean a little bit more so that side than a lot of other people that are probably in my field. It's like it's, you know, my stance is basically race, gender, all this other stuff, different identities. There's something, but they're not everything. That's kind of where I'm at on it. Like, it does matter, but there's a lot of other stuff that matters too. I think income is one of the biggest things too that like never gets talked about. I personally think that poverty is a major problem that gets overlooked a lot and talked about a lot in terms of race, right? So like, and no one ever like mentions this either, but it's like, okay, what if you took a super wealthy, like let's just say a wealthy black guy and a poor white guy, like who's going to be more disadvantaged in society? What people say, right? Like trailer park, white guy, black guy that comes from an affluent, you know, like a doctor, a family where his dad's a doctor type of thing.
Okay. Last time.
It depends, but I would say the money. I would say the money probably matters the most, but that's not a popular topic that people like to talk about. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not like communist, everyone should be making all the same money and stuff like that, but I think that so, like the money aspect gets overshadowed by the other DEI aspects too often. And it's quick to say, oh, it's because racism or whatever, when it's like, no, it's because like the public schools in that area, there's not enough money or job opportunities, so they can't get a good education, so they can't get themselves out of poverty. Like, obviously there's some, but I think it's a lot easier to say it's a DEI thing than trying to fix some of these other like financial institutions that are suppressing people. I would argue even more. One of the funniest kind of brainwashings that I've seen Where the fuck is Zaya?
No. Yeah. Hey, have you seen his cape?
An ally has been slain.
Dude, this is so weird.
Shut down.
Does anybody get out? But anyways, I saw on like Facebook, there was somebody that was like critiquing Kamala's unrealized gain. I'm not even sure if they were representing it correctly, but taxing unrealized gains, which
Do you love me because
there's wiggle room to talk about that for sure, the way it gets implemented. But like their reasoning was that they're like, oh, you know, just because someone's a millionaire or a billionaire, you know, doesn't mean that they should be taxed more, or if you're doing this, like, they're already paying their fair share kind of thing. And it's like, and it's like, if you just go and look at, like, I looked up effective tax rate for, like, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and all this, and it's like less than 2% of what they made is getting, they're paying 2% effectively on the amount of net wealth they accumulated for the year 2023. Their effective tax rate was 2%. So I'm not saying that, and I'm not an expert on the details of what Kamala's proposal is, but the presumption that rich people are getting taxed at the full rate, whatever it is on paper, 37% or something, they never pay that. Because they have all these fancy tax attorneys, they have a billion different itemized deductions, and so many ways to hide their income. So it's like just the presumption that these people need the sympathy and protection. It's like, you do want to incentivize risk taking and you don't want to punish wealth too much, but there's a certain point where, like, you got to make sure they're paying a fair share, because they're not. When you've got someone like, you know, Joe Smith the plumber makes $60K a year, paying a higher effective tax rate than billionaires because he's paying 25%. I would say that's, in my book, that's sus. But I just feel like there should be a 1% undodgeable net worth every year tax. Not even anything extravagant. Just, it could even be 0.5%. 0.5% to 1%. On individuals, maybe on corporations. Of your total net value. And that's it. That would balance the budget right there. It's literally 1%. Because American corporations combined are like $90 trillion. But there are companies, there was one year Amazon paid 0 in corporate taxes because it had so many deductions and all this other crap. And a lot of billionaires pay less than 5%. Some of them pay like less than 1%. So I don't think they should all be taxed at like 50% or something crazy. Just pay some tax, man. Like, just an undodgeable 1%. That would be 1% of 90 trillion just from the corporations would be like $900 billion. That right there would just about balance the budget. And if you tax individuals at 1% undodgeable, it would probably be, you know, an extra $500 billion or something. I don't know. I'm sure there's reasons why that's a problem, but I think just something like that would be useful. They try to do something like that with the alternative minimum tax. But they only did that for individuals. where it was like if you were making past a certain threshold, and it was supposed to be a tax on the rich. I want to watch it, like a little documentary on it, just to kind of see the history of the alternative minimum tax. But it was designed to be an undodgeable tax on the rich because there were all these deductions where people weren't paying the right amount. And so it was, I think it's like 25 or 27% tax where you can't use most itemized deductions, but it caps at a certain amount now. I think you have to make, like, as an individual, it might be 80K, and as a, like, married filing jointly, I think it's like 130 or something. And then it goes up to some number way more than I'll ever make, like 500K or something. But it caps at a certain level of wealth. So it doesn't even affect rich people anymore, really. It just squeezes, like, I guess, moderate professional, or like high-level blue-collar, however you want to see it, people that make 80 to 100. But I mean, in most, like, big cities, probably like New York and LA, like, that's probably Starbucks workers or something. I don't know. It's probably everybody. Yes, exactly. Middle class does get fucked the most on everything, basically, including taxes. But rather than cut spending, I think you should just tax wealthy and corporations. Again, not like backbreaking taxes, just make them pay something that's, like, even remotely fair. Oh, Jesus. How did that go so wrong? Was Yasuo just not there, or he bailed? I mean, two of them weren't there either. We had these two on the run. How did we lose? So she didn't flash the Jarvan flag and drag, I guess, is what happened. Because she used her R offensively to try to do damage and missed everything. Yeah, sorry, I haven't kept up with everything. And sorry to get too political. Hopefully I'm, like, seeming reasonable. I'm trying not to be, like, whether it's a Democrat or Republican thing, just talking about larger issues. Because I think both parties aren't really addressing that super well. But again, I do like Kamala's idea of trying to get wealthier people to pay a fair amount. I'd have to review exactly what she's saying to see if that's a good idea or not. Taxing unrealized gains. I mean, it's only supposed to be on people that make more than, I think it was 100 million.
Well, try not to die then.
But the big, like, so the big problem though is you have people that are so wealthy that they actually don't buy things, really, so they don't pay sales tax. And if you sell an asset and then immediately buy another asset of like kind, I think it's especially in real estate, then you don't get taxed on that as an unrealized gain. So it's just like all this money just gets shuffled around and just buried in tax codes, and just like all these little games happen, and like most of the money just gets earned and never taxed.
I need you to be more careful.
It's like the only people that get taxed are the people that actually earn money from like a salary, you know, earn money from working instead of investments. And that's not a very good thing to incentivize in a society. I mean, you do want people to take risks with their capital, but you also don't want to fuck over the people that are actually, like, clocking in and doing work. I mean, there is important intellectual work with, you know, funding a hedge fund or, like, which companies to invest in, but... Nice.
What's after this? Good.
Okay, well that was a good catch. Well, I don't think she could do... I'm pretty sure that has to pass through Congress anyways. But I like that at least people are talking about it. It's just so many people are, like, working class people are brainwashed. It's hilarious. Like, just seeing those two people argue about, like, trying to defend billionaires. I'm like, it's not fair to tax them. Like, bro, they don't even pay taxes. Like, I mean, I would have to think carefully about it, but if you really wanted to do some, like, super basic shit, like just everybody pays 20% no matter what, no tax deductions, just get rid of the tax code, everybody pays 20% on every kind of income you could imagine, I'd be in favor of that. You probably wouldn't even have to make it that much. You probably just make it 10%. Maybe even less. Because again, so many people, like super wealthy people and corporations, are paying 0. You might be able to make it 5%. But they're not going to do it, right? Like, realistically, it's not going to pass because so many of these wealthy people, you know, basically have Congress all bought up. So they're not going to pass that.
An ally has been slain.
God, dude, this Mordekaiser's popping. Joe's doing some work. Ah, shit, they're gonna get dragged. She had Ghost or something? Why is she moving so fast? Maybe she's not. Oh, it was Rel. Be able to eat or afford private planes. Yeah. Again, I'm not against people. They could still afford it. Trust me. Like, you have you know, Elon Musk, you have $100 billion in total assets. You pay $1 billion. Like, you still got $99 billion. Like, you can still buy a yacht. You'll be fine if it's that 1% total asset that you have to pay every year. But I don't know. We'll see. But I do think, or I mean, another like more subtle way they could do it is just close a bunch of loopholes. Instead of enacting new taxes, just close all these loopholes, like carried interest. Also, don't think that companies should be allowed to buy single-family homes. I think that's a huge, huge problem right now. I think single-family homes, you should, if you still want to allow landlords, you should be allowed to own a maximum of 3 homes. That's it. And it has to be individuals. It cannot be companies, corporations, any of that shit. Holy shit. Because that's just dumb. Like, people need to have somewhere to live, and it's just fucking up all the prices. I think there needs to be a huge crackdown on private equity in general. I got a friend that's in, like, the medical field, too, and he says it's just screwing up all kinds of stuff. They're just buying up hospitals, firing all the staff, basically, firing all the techs. Just anything they can do to cut costs. And he just says it's terrible for patients. It's really hard on doctors. They have to work harder. They can't see as many patients. They can't spend as much time with patients. And it's just a plague. It's just like the way that it's taxed too. Like, I think if they file bankruptcy for a company, if it's private equity, I can't remember all the details of this. I did watch a little mini documentary on this, but like if a company goes bankrupt, they don't have to foot the bill. Like, it's not part of their thing. It's weird. But it's like it's almost like a write-off or something. Like, they have some losses, but it's just very heavily incentivized for private equity to come in, cut all the costs they can, do everything they can to make this, like, as profitable as possible in the short term. And then if a bunch of people lose their job, or a bunch of patients get worse care, or whatever, fuck them. Like, that's kind of the thing. And it's, you know, people talk about it as, like, discovering, like, value or maximizing efficiency. It's very, like, capitalist, you know, like, good thing. And it's like, I mean, that sounds good, but, like, how it really plays out is different, I feel like, a lot of times. Don't have my ult. Shit. Oh my god. Didn't we have one or two of them dead? Why did we start that? Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's where I would start cracking down. And I think Kamala said she was trying. I don't know how much this stuff she'll actually pass, but I think she was loosely saying stuff about price gouging in grocery stores, and I don't remember what about real estate, but something predatory in real estate. But yeah, I don't know if she can actually pass that stuff or not. But again, at least it's drawing attention to it. Hopefully people on both sides of the aisle are interested. I know, like, nobody likes private equity coming up and snapping up all of the hospitals and all the real estate so no one can buy a house. And, like, no one can afford anything in healthcare. Because they're going to, like, raise the prices as much as they can get away with on everything, and they're going to cut as much staff as they can. So you're going to be, like, paying more for a worse experience. I think that, like, some stuff that's, like, basic needs type of things. Yasuo's kind of offsides. Is she just dead? Oh, he hit me instead? Oh, almost. Well, they cleaned up most other things. I know. They're just so far ahead of us. Or they're just playing so much better. Because they are making a lot of mistakes. I felt like we were winning most of the last, like, 10 minutes or so, but... it's like their Lucian, just everyone on their team is still just so much more impactful. Especially this, like, Mordekaiser feels very difficult to deal with. But I think we can still win if Xayah, like, Xayah has to play really well, though.
Man, have you seen that forest over there?
I think they're gonna have to basically do a Medicare for all eventually, and just figure out some way to make it work. I just think the prices are just getting to such a breaking point on, like, no one can afford anything, and they're changing some of it. The problem is when no one can afford shit, especially like checkups, that people just aren't gonna go in unless. Do not get this stolen, brother. Does he have smite? Does he have smite? I can't tell. He does. Okay. So I don't know. Or it's going to have to be like much more heavily regulated. Get private equity out of there. Just get better negotiation on the drugs. Get better control of the supply chains. Like, lower the costs on the damn exams. It's crazy that, like, MRIs and CAT scans are, like, $3,000 or $4,000. It's like, you want people to, like, you should want people to do that. You want to find stage 1 cancer. Like, you don't want them to come in when they're stage 4. Everybody loses. That person dies, but it's also, like, extremely expensive, and everyone else has to pay for that. They are doing, like, more incentives. They need to crack down on the food industry, too. I mean, I just gotta talk about everything tonight, but that's really the underlying, like, massive problem with healthcare, I think, is our diet, our food is just horrible. And a lot of people just don't even realize how bad it is. I mean, I'm sure this is something you know about all too well, John, for sure. As a dietitian, way more than I do, but people just eat all this garbage. They never know about it. And, I mean, they, like, I think people know that eating McDonald's is not healthy, but I don't know. There needs to be some kind of incentives. Employers are giving incentives for, like, doing so much exercise or doing your checkup or something. Did I burn out? Yeah. Okay. Kind of made it. Well, I think there are fast things. Because I was like the same way for a really long time. But I mean, even just throwing in pasta, like, I've got these nuggets. These corn nuggets. They're not made of corn. It's like Quorn that I get. That are processed, but it's like a kind of mushroom, sort of. It doesn't taste like mushroom. It tastes basically like chicken nuggets. But it's like this mushroom that has really good protein, fiber, like all this stuff. And like a bag of 40 of these things is like 13 bucks. And you can like just put them in the microwave for 2 minutes. You don't have to drive anywhere. That's it. Just microwave for 2 minutes. 1 minute on one side, flip. 1 minute on the other side, done. And at least macro-wise, as it appears on the label, I'd say is, you know, looking pretty healthy. I mean, they just have too much damage. I just can't do anything. Or just like pasta, you know, just throw some pasta on 9 minutes. Or like, what I'll do is I'll do those nuggets and I'll just do like a salad. I just grab a bunch of spinach, kale, just wash it off, throw it in there. Just put a bunch of like garlic and ginger and black pepper on it, season it, little olive oil. Put those nuggets, it take 2 minutes on there. And just put a little goat cheese on there. Boom, done. It's 1,200 calories or something. Pretty healthy, and you can do it in like 5 minutes. But I feel, I don't know. I guess it depends. Like, if you literally have a McDonald's right next to your house, but like, if you factor in the, like the transit time of driving out of your way to go to a McDonald's or something, and then waiting in line, and then like having to drive back, I guess you can have it delivered, like Uber Eats and stuff. But at that point, it's like turbo expensive, I think. So I don't know. That's my take on it. Is it can be pretty fast, and it can be pretty flavorful. I think there's a lot of stuff. Like, yeah, if you're trying to do like some super chef meal or something, yes, that takes forever. But I think there's a lot of stuff that's 10 minutes or less. And hell, I even watch League half the time while I'm doing it. I'll have, League on, or I'll get caught up on just some other type of video, watch like an Asmongold video or something, or I'll put on some music. So I'll like do the dishes or something. Like, you can find something to do, in my mind, while you're playing, or while you're cooking. Yeah, it's usually 10 minutes or less. Now, when I'm getting food for everybody in the house, that takes a while. When I'm fixing like a different plate for everybody, for my 2 daughters, my wife, and myself, that adds up. That takes like 30 minutes. But just solo dude. But that's my thing. I just think there needs to be like maybe more awareness, or just showing people, even in like school, high school or something, just like, hey, here's some healthy food you could cook or whatever. Like, because it's cheaper too. I'm pretty sure it's cheaper. I did the calculation on this because I watched some video, and that's it for the games. I'll just talk for a couple more minutes. But I've talked about this before, I think, on here, but I watched something. I think I was watching an Asmongold video where they were talking about nutrition or something or other. And no, it was a Dr. Mike video. And they were looking at Super Size Me. He was looking at the documentary Super Size Me, and Dr. Mike was like, oh, well, that's all some people can afford is McDonald's. I'm like, hold up. And I looked at the current price of a lot of McDonald's meals, and I think it was like maybe $5. It might be more than that. And that's if you drive out, you get it, picked up or whatever. And the calories, I'm trying to remember. I think it was like 800 calories, $5 meal. So I was like, so if you did 3 of those a day, that's $15. And it was like, no, it was 1,000 calories for that meal. So it was 3,000 calories for $15. And then I added up how much does it cost to, cook and eat everything that I do in a day. And it was pretty close to $15. It was like $13 or something like that. So it was about the same price. I think it was a little bit cheaper to do what I do. But I have like expensive ass ingredients too. Like I've got like all this organic stuff. I'm throwing, these vegetables in there that, cost money but don't have a lot of calories. It's like, you could very easily, if you just ate pasta or rice, and just add a little spice onto it, add a little protein in there or something, I think you could easily make like a pretty tasty meal for like $3 or less. So I don't know. I don't buy into the it's cheaper. I could buy into the it tastes good. And it might, depending on if you get it Uber Eats delivered or whatever, it could be potentially faster or require less effort. See, the Uber Eats person, if you want to eat like right then, it does take them time to make it and drive it out to you. Versus if you just make it at your house, it's like, or your apartment, it's like instant. Like people in dorms. Yeah, that's about what my meals are. They're like $3 to $5 depending on what I eat. But I don't know. That's my take. So I get it. It's like, it's tasty, and I worked at a McDonald's and I ate a lot of fast food for a long time. I still eat some pizza and stuff every now and then. But I don't even think it takes much learning. I mean, honestly, when I was 24 and I was just trying to save money, I was just drinking water and pasta. I had a $70 grocery per week as a single dude. And I was just eating pasta with spices, water, like bread, peanut butter. It's like jars of peanut butter, which isn't super healthy either, but I mean, like, it's not rocket science. Just find a few spices that you like. Just get you some pasta. Throw some cheese on it, and that's good. Same thing with rice. Just throw some cheese on it. You want to throw some protein on it, some fish or some meat or whatever. I mean, I think a lot of this stuff doesn't have to be, like, too fancy. And, I mean, there's stuff online. Yeah, I mean, if you want to cook real stuff, like souffles and shit like that, it's like, yeah, you can. But I don't know. Maybe I just have really plain tastes. But it works for me. Yeah, I saw Double Lift said that he spent $70,000 a year on, like, delivery food. It's crazy. I was like, what? Because he was talking about how much he spent per day or something on it. It's like $100. Maybe it was more than that. And then I was like, what? That's like $70,000 a year. It was insane. Because he just gets everything DoorDash. And Sneaky was like, yeah, I'll probably spend about that much too. Like, what? That's nuts. I saw Asmongold do a calculation for a DoorDash. I've never used that stuff before, but it was like a 6-packet nuggets with a drink and a fry or something like that. It was like $20. It was like a $5 or $6 order turned into 20 after all the little taxes and tips and everything. I was like, oh my god. I don't even get pizzas delivered anymore, man. We do a pizza place. It's like 10 minutes down the road. I'd rather just drive and do it. But I'm still like, we probably could afford to do it. But I try to be frugal about most things where I can be. I still have some extravagances. But I guess I could see the allure of it. But I feel after like trying to eat healthier for a while, you feel different. And the bad thing is if I do eat something like that, like if I drink a big shake or, something else, I just kind of feel like garbage. I'm just like, oh, why did I do that? It tasted good, but get the Mick hangover. But I still, my weakness is I still will eat pizza. That's one of my go-tos. We go out, there's like a little barcade nearby. My wife and I will go and take the kids, and I'll get like just a little small flatbread pizza, which is okay, and a drink, and then I feel okay, but slightly off later if I just do that little pizza. But pizza is the thing that's pretty good, and that's probably one of the worst ones. But anyways, okay, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get up in the morning and take care of some stuff, but it's always cool hanging out with you guys, talking, even though I don't even remember. I think we won the first game. We didn't. Lost the second one. But sorry, hopefully I didn't get too political. But I think we were finding a lot of common ground, even though I suspect that, some viewers and I might be on a slightly different end of the political spectrum to some extent. I think it's cool we were still able to find some, common ground stuff to talk about. And I think that's really what it's all about at the end of the day. And just trying to fix these things that, or at least think about these things, bring attention to them. Things that really shouldn't be politicized. It should just be something everybody should want to fix. Hey, thanks, Mickey. I appreciate it. Okay, well, that's it. Thank y'all very much. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll shoot for that legendary, 9:30 or 10 o'clock spot if we can get it. I am off on Labor Day too, so are the kids. So I might get started late again. We'll see though. But anyways, that's it. Thanks. Have a good day, and we'll see you everybody next time.